So we're on the farm of Peter Hanrahan in Kiljames, Thomastown, County Kilkenny. Peter is going to host the first farm walk of phase 2 of the Teagasc GreenAcres calf to beef programme. Peter runs a dairy calf to beef operation in partnership with his father Thomas. I suppose just to start off, Peter, tell us a little bit about the system or the background of the farm.
This farm was always a suckler farm. The last couple of years we've branched off into dairy calf to beef. We buy in the calves at 3 weeks of age from local dairy farms and we bring them through to slaughter.
Okay. So what are the benefits of maybe buying the calves direct off dairy farms, Peter?
Buying off the local lads means I know where they come from, I know they've got their adequate colostrum, I know they've been looked after, I know what breeding goes through the farms, so it's a big advantage knowing where they come from.
Okay, and when the calves, what breeds are you buying most?
Mixture between Frisian, Angus, Hereford and Limousin.
Okay. And what's the animal health plan when those calves arrive onto the farm?
When the calves arrive, they get covered for IBR, pneumonia, clostridial diseases as well, the minute they arrive.
Okay. Just on your grazing platform, what size is your grazing platform, Peter?
The grazing platform is 90 hectares. There were a lot of big paddocks here when we started. Now we've subdivided a lot of the paddocks in the grazing platform, which has helped manage the grazing season.
You've also done some investments in the farm recently in form of buildings. What are those, Peter?
We built a purpose-built calf rearing shed, which helped an awful lot with the numbers of calves we're rearing at the moment, made everything a lot easier and worked for the health of the calves. We also built a slatted unit to house 200 fattening cattle, which was needed.
So we're joined now by Sean Cummins, Peter's dedicated programme advisor. Sean, visitors to the farm will be going through different stations on the day. The first board, I suppose, is just going to give the farm outline and outline some of the key profitability targets for Peter. Then we're going to move out here into the paddocks into a grazing demonstration. What's going to happen?
Yeah, so Peter joined the programme last November and since then he's been measuring grass. He's measuring on a weekly basis. So what we're planning on doing is people arrive in the car park and we're going to have a grazing demonstration just to show what covers you need to be targeting for the 12th or the 10th of October, just to get in to make sure you have enough grass for next year, and just how to extend the grazing season to ensure that you don't run out of grass too early so your cattle are forced in. Then as we move down along, we'll be coming into this particular paddock. So as you can probably see, there's a dock issue and a plantain issue in some areas of this. So I'll be looking at targeting this and what weed control methods we can do to control that. And another area we'll be looking at is soil fertility. So we carried out soil testing on Peter's farm back in January last year. There's parts of the farm that are low for P's and K's, but we also know that it needs 122 tonne of lime to correct the pH of the soil. So we'll be looking at methods and why we're actually chasing and improving the soil fertility on the farm.
So Sean, we're going to come into the shed after the grazing demonstration. Peter built this shed in recent years. What's going to be up for discussion here?
Yeah, so Peter's running a split sort system at the time, so it varies between 24-month Frisian bullocks and 28-month Frisian bullocks. So we're going to be looking at the economics of both. From a cash flow perspective of why is he going to be operating that system. There's actually a group of bullocks going to be housed in the next week or two. They're currently weighing 560 kilos, so they're going to be in the shed, and we're going to be looking at what silage is required for those to get them over the line, to get them to produce the 315 kilo carcass, and the quality of ration we need. We're also going to have a demonstration on just the different ration types, so farmers can actually put their hand into a bucket and see exactly what is the ingredient in a ration when they're looking at it. Piers Kelly will also be giving a talk on the day on calf prices next spring. I suppose it's topical given the way the beef situation is looking at the minute. So we'll be looking at essentially a model view on what farmers can afford to pay for calves next spring, whether they be Frisians or Angus.
So Sean, we're going to come from the finishing shed into the weanling shed. This is where Peter will house his weanlings for the winter period. What topics are going to be focused on here?
Yeah, so basically, Niall, the first thing we're going to be looking at is weaning weights. What weight those animals need to be. So, like historically, we always say 230 kilos coming in, 310 kilos going out. But what do we need to do to get that animal from the 230 to the 310? So, like the key elements over the winter are health, your feeding. We'll be looking at silage quality first. What type of silage is needed for a calf to beef system? No passengers are carried on a calf to beef system, so we need good quality silage. In cases where there's not good quality silage, what do? We can supplement with meal, but how much meal do we need, or what quality of meal do we need? We'll be looking at health also. Weaning is the first or the second stress period that comes on an animal after the calf rearing period. So we'll be looking at the use of proper dosing and vaccination to make sure those animals are up to speed and ready to perform over the winter months. And finally then Nicky Byrne from Grange, from the calf to beef demonstration farm up in Grange, will be down on the day, and he'll be giving a demonstration and a talk on the work he's seen and what's happening up in Grange at the minute.
So the final stop on the day, Sean, is going to be in this impressive calf shed which Peter purposely built for calf rearing. What topics are going to be focused on here?
Yeah, so as you were saying, Niall, this shed is purposely built for calf rearing. We're actually going to be looking at the environment you need to provide a calf to ensure you get the best results. Peter has gone through a lot of work on this shed. It's purposely designed. There's Yorkshire boarding, there's every element in the calf shed. There's the drainage, there's the 1 in 20 slope. We'll be looking at that and the elements required to give the calf the perfect environment. We'll also be looking at, in terms of feeding the calf, what does the calf need? Like, we'll be looking at milk replace, the specifications and the costs. We'll also be looking at the methods of feeding calves. So Peter's operating an automatic feeding station here, but we'll be looking at the other options available in terms of teat feeders, once a day feeding, and just what options are available to farmers next spring. I think October is a timely time to go through it. It gives farmers time to think about before they purchase calves next spring and ensure that the environment they're creating on their farm is perfect for calves when they arrive.
So Sean, on this final stop in the calf shed, calf health is going to be focused on. What topics are going to be covered?
Yeah, so basically we'll be looking at what Peter's doing in terms of bringing in the calves from known sources. But then once they arrive on the farm, what happens in terms of vaccination programs? What vaccinations do we need to provide? How do we keep a calf healthy? If we don't keep a calf healthy, we're basically on the back foot the whole way down along the line system. So we'll be looking at what Peter's doing. So he's vaccinating for pneumonia, IBR, clostridial diseases, and if the need arises, he's using anticoccidials as well for coccidiosis.
So the last two talks on the day, Sean, is going to cover the beam scheme that's just been introduced and the carbon footprint of the farm. Give us a little bit more details on those.
Yeah, so James Fitzgerald from Teagasc will be running through the beam scheme. So the beef emergency aid measure, which the Department of Agriculture launched to compensate farmers for reduced prices last year. James will be available to talk to people on what they actually need to do to make sure to comply with the 5% drop that's required. We're also in the process of completing the carbon footprint for the farm. So we'll be able to tell how much carbon this farm sinks and how many people it potentially feeds.
That's perfect, Sean. That's just a brief outline of what's going to happen on today. Today again is Thursday the 10th of October. We hope to see you there.